Welcome to Rock Your Reinvention. I'm Karen Freeland, your guide to ditching corporate and designing a life you love. If you're ready to shift your mindset, boost your confidence, and finally take action on that dream career or business, you're in the right place. It's your time. Let's rock your reinvention. Happy New Year and welcome to 2026. I am so excited about all the possibilities for this year, and I hope you are too. I can't wait to bring you some fresh new episodes soon, but I'm still enjoying the holiday with my family. So today, for the first time ever, never done this before on Rock Your Reinvention, I'm bringing you a replay. This is episode 64, which was a popular episode, and quite frankly, it's the perfect way to start off the new year. I couldn't have said this any better if I recorded a different episode. Now, you're obviously going to hear me say 2025 several times, but everything I share in this episode is 100% applicable to 2026, 2027, 2028, etc. You get the picture. So don't let that trip you up. Take this episode to heart. Put the tips into action. And if you do that, I know you are going to have an amazing year. Now, without any further ado, I give you 3 simple tips for kickstarting 2026 with purpose. Is this the year that you finally ditch the golden handcuffs and say goodbye to corporate? I sure hope so, because a better life awaits you. I'm personally thrilled for 2025. It's a new year, a blank slate, and a fresh start to become the person you were always meant to be. Now, that might seem like a really bold statement. A fresh start to become the person you were always meant to be. Let that sink in for a sec. The reality is, you have a destiny. Is it to be the operations manager at a tech company? Or finance VP at an energy company? Or compliance director at an insurance firm? Maybe you've never thought about it that way. I know I wasn't created to be a marketing director. That's for sure. It was just a hat that I wore for a bit, a means to an end, but it wasn't fulfilling. And it wasn't who I was ultimately created to be. We are so much more than our jobs and our titles. I believe that we both have a unique purpose that we were specifically designed to achieve. How cool is that? I find that very encouraging because we have so much potential within us that we don't even realize it. So much untapped potential, seriously. And we have to have that capability because we're recreated for a reason. So it would be an awfully cruel joke if we were created for something, but then not given the skills and talents that we needed to make it a reality, right? Therefore, if you think about this, we have a unique purpose. We were destined to fulfill it. And in order to fulfill that destiny, we've been given all the skills and abilities needed to achieve it. I mean, if that doesn't make you feel like you can accomplish anything, I don't know what will. Yet a very large portion of the world will never become the person they were meant to be. It's true. We can, in fact, miss out on our destiny. Now, I promise we'll get to the uplifting part in a minute, but you really need to hear this because it can fuel you in a new and exciting way. So we have to ask ourselves the question, well, why is it that so many women are missing out on their best life? And it's really quite simple. I see it all the time. Self-doubt. Those little voices in your head that tell you, I'm not good enough. I'm not capable of running my own business. Or no one's going to pay me to speak because I don't have something unique enough to share. The scarcity mindset. I'll be broke if I leave my job. I won't be able to pay for college or sustain my lifestyle. How will I get by? Or you're stuck in the status quo. Yeah, my life is fine. I mean, it's good enough. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I mean, I'm just going to keep plugging along for now. Don't fix it if it ain't broken, even though it's actually broken. And ignoring the signs and the nudges you receive. Even though work is getting more and more toxic, I just need to suck it up. I mean, that's adulting. I'm sure it'll pass eventually. No, work is getting more and more toxic, so you leave so that you can go on to live your true purpose. And it's these little thoughts that hold you back from the life that you were meant to live. And it's also the day-to-day choices that you make as a result of those thoughts. So you could think about even just a typical weekend, right? Maybe you waste away an afternoon in front of the TV. Maybe you're even having a couple of drinks. You're scrolling mindlessly all night on social for hours, making yourself exhausted the next day. You're focusing on work, trying to catch up and get a few things done. And then when the kids want your attention, you're so annoyed. You're not committing time to your faith, maybe skipping church and not having an active prayer life because you're like, there's just no time for it. I have other things that I need to be doing. And many of you are still assuming that you can achieve your dreams once the kids are grown or you have more money. It's these little subtleties that should scare us more than anything, because this is what keeps the majority of women from reaching their full potential. And we don't even realize that we're off track until, I don't want to say it's too late, but it's too late. So how do you get things back on track? How do you turn this around to ensure that 2025 is the year that you get closer to becoming the person that you want to be? I got you. I'm not going to leave you in the lurch. I want to share 3 simple tips to help kickstart this for you in 2025. The first thing I want to invite you to do is to pick a word for how you want to describe your life in 2025. This is a big assignment. This is not just like something that you flippantly do, right? You want to do this at the beginning of the year because this is going to be the thing that anchors you throughout the rest of your days and weeks and months in 2025 to make sure that you don't drift too far from who you truly want to be. Maybe your word is present. You really want to be present with people this year, or charitable, or helpful, or calm. Maybe this is a year of growth for you. Maybe you want to be more generous, or maybe this is a time for exploration. Those are just a couple of examples of words that you might consider. Take a moment right now. Hopefully you've got a piece of paper or something nearby, or use the app, the notes app in your phone, and jot down some words that might come to mind. Are there 1 or 2 that are really resonating for you? I don't expect you to nail this down right now. I mean, you might, but I want you to at least start thinking about it. And here's why I love having a word. Because the sooner you set it, the sooner you can begin striving to live a life in that manner. It's also a great way to gut check yourself. So at the end of the week, right? Not the end of the month, not the end of 2025, but literally 52 times at the end of every week, you're going to ask yourself, am I living up to that word? For example, was I generous this week? Generous with my time, with my money, with my food, my material goods, right? Generosity comes in so many shapes and sizes. And if not, what could I have done to be more generous? How will I do things differently next week? Was I calm? Oh, I was actually. Well, what did I do to ensure that? And how can I make sure I do that again? Right? So it's not always that we don't live up to our word. Many times you will find, wow, I really did a great job this week of being helpful or present. And we want to acknowledge that, celebrate it, and see how we can do that again. I have personally done this for the last 2 years where I have chosen a word for the year, and I have found it so incredibly helpful. It is structured enough for me that it gives me something to strive for, but yet still really flexible so I don't feel too locked into something. and it helps me stay on track so that I can actually live the life I was truly meant to live. Okay, once you've set your word for 2025, the second thing I want to invite you to do is set your priorities for 2025. We've all seen that experiment where a teacher, probably in your science class, fills a jar with a bunch of big rocks. And then they ask the class, is this jar full? And they say, yeah, of course. They're like, you can't fit anything else in there. And then the teacher adds smaller stones, and all the students go, oh, wow, okay. And they ask again to the kids, is this full? And of course, this time they go, yeah, it's really full. And then the teacher pulls out some sand and then again some water, right? Until it is actually full. The water's gone into all those nooks and crannies. And our lives are so much like this experiment. We pack them full with everything. Anything and everything we can pretty much fit in. We just cram it into our days and our weeks and our year. But most of us go on from year to year without ever actually reevaluating any of our priorities, any of those big rocks, the small stones, the sand, the water that we let in our life. And that's how we get stuck in the status quo, right? So what we want to do now is to really consider those big rocks first. Do you take time to do that? I have a planner that I use every year. And the way I do this is at the beginning of the year, I put in all the big things, the weddings that are coming up, the birthdays, the days off from school, the kids' sports activities, their concerts and recitals. I just got done entering all of my son's lacrosse games to make sure that I can be at every single one of those. Those things have to go in first. Otherwise, you're inevitably going to miss something. And I didn't always do this. And I can tell you, I would schedule a business trip or some work event would come up, and then everyone in the family would be angry at me because I'd missed something really important. And that didn't feel good. And work was not more important. And so I had my priorities out of alignment. The other thing I would say is this is a really good filter for making decisions throughout the year. So maybe you get offered a promotion at work and you've been thinking about leaving, but you're not sure what to do. So you come back and you look at your priorities and you ask yourself, is this promotion getting me closer to my priorities or further away? Maybe you get offered a business venture with a partner and you're like, okay, I don't know what to do. Should I take the leap? Is this the time? Go back and look at your priorities. Will this help you get closer to them or further from them? But you have to make sure that you set your priorities, because without that, you're just going to be flailing in the wind again, right? Drifting further and further away from the person that you were actually meant to be. So just a quick share from my own life. My son has started thinking about homeschooling for next year. And so I'm going to be funneling my clients into Tuesdays and Thursdays when I know he'll be on campus in a full day of school, and then keeping the other days open for when he is home. And it's a very small shift, but it's one that's going to allow me to really keep my priorities in order and still service my clients and still do the thing that brings me so much passion and joy in this life. But again, if you don't know your priorities, it's very hard for you to be able to make those decisions and pivot when things change. So make sure you take some time to carve that out. And maybe you know some of your priorities right now and you can write them down. Otherwise, you're going to need to carve out some time to do that later. But don't skip this step. Whatever you do not forget to outline your priorities for the year. And they may change, halfway through. Something may come up. You may not have as many responsibilities in one area. Things will ebb and flow, and we can be flexible. But without setting this at the beginning of the year, when things do pop up, it's going to be more of a struggle to figure out how to pivot. And you may get taken off course if you don't have this outlined. The third thing I want to invite you to do is maybe my favorite. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Distraction is one of your biggest enemies. It is robbing you of precious time and energy. And distraction, it comes in so many forms, But we live such chaotic lives today in our society, and we are not meant to live like this. So today, I want to invite you to find ways to simplify your life as much as humanly possible. Now, this is a pretty broad concept, but in a way, that's the beauty of it because it can be applied in a variety of ways. But here's the key. Okay, here's almost like a little catch. In order to apply this freely in your life, you have to do one thing. You have to forget how others are living or what society tells you is success. Okay, and if you do that, then you can freely apply the ability to simplify your life. Because here's the thing, if I look at society right now, it tells me that making 7 figures is success, or that traveling to exotic places all the time is success, or that owning boats and cars and multiple houses is success. I mean, I don't want to be dramatic, but I have a little bit of anxiety thinking about all of those things, right? I don't want to have to maintain cars and boats and multiple houses. I don't even like cleaning the one I got, okay? To me, the idea of making 7 figures means working harder and having less time to focus on all the other things because it means how many clients you have and how many people you're servicing. Nope, I'm good. I'm okay. There's a point where enough is enough. I just got back from a couple of days in Tampa. I'm very excited to be in my bed. I have no desire to travel anywhere anytime soon. So again, what is success to you and how do you simplify so that you can truly achieve your version of success? I'll just share a couple of ways that I've simplified my life. Again, this is not something that I'm prescribing for you, although I certainly would invite you to give it a try if they apply to you. But one of the things that we have done is we don't have TV. I've mentioned it before. If you're a longtime listener of the show, thank you. But you know that I cut cable in 2019 and we do not replace it with streaming services. So we don't have TV. It's glorious and it doesn't suck up any of that time anymore. We donate things that we no longer need or have outgrown. We get the clutter out of the house. It just like mentally frees you up for so many things. And it feels so good knowing that we've given that stuff to someone else who needs it. I'm focusing for 2025 on one specific offer in my business, and I'm not going to be doing business coaching anymore. I'm going to leave the business coaching to the business coaches. It's not that I can't do it, but it's that I want to simplify. And so I really want to streamline my business and be more laser focused on those women who want to ditch the golden handcuffs and leave corporate. I limit my clothes shopping, right? Usually to once per quarter, if even that. Right? Really scaled back on our consumerism, materialism, like none of that matters. I don't have thousands of packages from Amazon showing up every week. I just don't. I simplify everything. Pretty much only shop at the grocery store. And you know what? I'm sure I can get stuff cheaper somewhere else, but that's one of the big simplifications we made. We only go to one store. So I'm not wasting my whole Saturday going to Target, going to Walmart, going to this place, going to that grocery store. One-stop shop. We reduced the number of activities that the kids were doing. I'm very competitive. So my husband and I have had to have a lot of like come to Jesus moments where he's like, Karen, you're overscheduling us again. This is too much stuff. Like we don't need to do all these things. And so I have really had to put my wants and my desires aside and really look at what's best for the family and for my kids and what they want to do. And they don't need to be in every travel sport and they don't need to have 18 activities going on at once. And so we have massively scaled back the number of activities that we have the kids in. I'll just give you 2 more. I review my finances once a month. I always know where my money's going, where it's coming from. I have a very clear picture of that, and that simplifies things because I never have to be stressed about money because I always know exactly what I have and where it's coming from. And we created a system for chores with our kids. So I have 2 kids, so this makes it easy. If you have more than 2 kids, this is not as easy, but we have an odd and even number. So one son was born on an odd day and one was born on an even day. So who has to do chores? Who gets to put the money in the offertory at church? It's all based on the number system. So if it's an odd day, it's the older one. If it's an even day, it's the younger one. And it just simplifies everything because there's no fighting. It's like, nope, it's garbage day for you because you're the odd kid. Well, the one who was born on an odd day. And so you're the one who's going to do it. And it just makes everything easier. So for you, how can you simplify your life in 2025? And I know by doing this, you're going to have so much more time for your priorities and you're going to be more likely to achieve your word for the year because you won't have all of these distractions and other things that are taking up your precious time and energy. So there you have it, my 3 simple tips for kickstarting 2025 and making this the year you become the person that you are truly meant to be. And I'm curious, which one are you going to try first? Which one of these tips are you going to implement first? Either way, you're going to want to carve out some time on your calendar to set aside that word and really figure out what that's going to be for 2025. Outline all of those priorities, write them out, get them into priority order, right? There's a little work to be done there. And then really start journaling about this idea of simplifying your life and coming up with some ideas for yourself that you could do to make your life easier. All right, 2025, here we come. This is your chance to turn things around, to make this the year you make better choices that allow you to become the person you not only want to be, but girl, you were meant to be. You were created to be and reach your full destiny. I'm rooting for you. And of course, if you need help with this is exactly what I do with my clients. So keep listening for details on how to book a call with me. Happy New Year. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're inspired to take action by committing to one of the tips or strategies we talked about in today's episode. If you want more accountability and support, I've got your back. Book a complimentary Empowered Exit Strategy call today. Visit KarenFreeland.com to learn more and book your 45-minute session. Until next time, stay fabulous.